Well, he has to at least like Mountain Dew if he put it in the movie so much.
I agree. That's how he and his grandma bonded. They just drink Mountain Dew and pee together.
You can recycle that dew. It actually passes through your body a couple of times. So you
Yeah, we know this. We're Mountain Dew experts. So
Do you think Paul W.S. Anderson played the Monster Hunter game before making this movie?
I mean, apparently not because he didn't get the weapons right.
His whole life is like movies. Like you can tell, like he like lives and eats, sleeps, and breathes movies.
Ah, the dream.
Like wow, these guys were actually able to get like Amazon movie show deals. That's kind of
Probably
crazy.
not. They're not going to get a second one. But...
All right, from the top.
Playhouse reviews. So, brother, did you watch anything good this week you want to talk about before we hop into our Playhouse reviews?
I watched some TV shows this week, but we're not here to talk about TV shows. We're here to talk about movies. So let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. What are we going to talk about first?
Let's talk about Sion Sono's new movie, Red Post on Escher Street.
Ooh, yes, that was very good. So, what were your... well, before we hop into what our thoughts were, I'll do a little background. So this Sion Sono's not newest movie, but one of his newest. He's making another one with Nick Cage. But this one's about a group of aspiring actors who are all kind of newcomers who are applying for the role or multiple roles in a famous director's new movie. I think his name was Kobayashi, is the director in the movie. So it's all of them going through the audition process, and it focuses on each character going through it and all of their kind of obsessions and weird quirks, and it's kind of all over the place like most of his movies are.
No, I think this one's a little bit more all over the place than his other ones, but that's saying a lot.
So what were your thoughts on this film?
So my initial reaction was I did not like it at all. After I thought about it a little bit more, I liked it more, but I still don't think it was great, especially for a Sion Sono movie.
Yeah. So after I watched it, I was the opposite. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of the characters. I thought it was very, very funny, and I appreciated all the different like themes and like point of views it took. There's no protagonist, and just the whole idea of the movie basically being about extras. Like I feel like it was a movie about it has an opening scene with a bunch of random extras that have no stories at all. And then throughout the movie, it develops all of their characters and you know about them. And then it comes together in a big kind of crescendo at the end with all the different characters' roles, which I really like. This very simple idea, but I think it came together well enough. And they didn't drop as many plot lines. Not all of them were needed, all the characters, but they all came together more so than I felt like, I don't know, Forest of Love, where they just kill people and drop off plot lines willy-nilly.
I really liked how it all came together at the end, but I just remember like watching it and I was just like, please can this movie be over? Like that everyone was just like yelling so much and I was just like, it's over 2.5 hours long, like most of his movies, and I was just like, I'm so ready for this to be over. And like I feel like it definitely could have been better with a shortened runtime. So I think that's why I didn't like it so much at first. It's just because I was like, please let it be over already. It's so long.
Yeah, this is absolutely not a movie for everyone. I feel like if you're never seen a Sion Sono movie, this is not the one to start with.
Definitely not. Yeah.
But so this movie, when I read into it, I didn't know this going in watching it. So the reason he made this movie, though, it was because he was participating in an aspiring actors workshop that he was just like a real one in real life. And then after he was like meeting and working with all these actors for a while, he was like, oh, this class isn't good enough. He's like, let's make a movie together. So then he decided just to make a movie with them as like their graduation project. And he said he had no intent of actually releasing this to theaters. But then as it came together,
cool.
He put more and more like thought into it. And even like the ending, he said he didn't really have a finished script, which I think they allude to in the movie. And so all the actors that are in it were all people who are just in this workshop, except for maybe like 2 or 3 of them who were like reappearing stars from his other films. But for the most part, they're all just new people, and he just wanted to put them in a movie so they could get the movie experience, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's pretty interesting in that he had no intention of releasing it. It makes me understand a little bit more, but I'm still not going to say this is nearly as good as his other movies or most movies in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I still enjoyed it more than Forest of Love, but I like the different like themes of like, I mean, it goes all over the place. Each character, not all of them worked as well as others, but I think
Yeah.
I enjoyed each of their stories enough going through it. It was
So what
definitely
were some of your
gratuitous.
favorites? I think it'll take too long to talk about all of them, but what was your favorite group of the actors?
Well, the funniest I thought was the group of the cult girls. Who
Oh,
were just, like,
I
insanely
hated them.
They were screaming so much, but they were just ridiculous as an idea. And then I also really liked the whole. I think the most interesting to me was the producers. So like the asshole producer who was like beat up because he was like sleeping with one of the actresses.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to put her in the movie. And then he was like being bullied by his boss. Just that whole like kind of gangster dynamic being brought into film was really good.
I mean, it was funny how his boss would like step on his toe and like kick his broken leg and stuff to try to get him to do what he wanted.
Yeah. And then I don't know. It's just I was just the whole time because I had no idea where it was gonna go, and it's like a Sion Sono movie. Like there wasn't a specific character that I really loved more than others per se. It's just I had no idea what was gonna happen, so I was just eagerly waiting to see how was he gonna tie it together. What's gonna happen at the end?
yeah.
Is someone gonna snap? Is there gonna be a gore fest?
Yeah,
And
I
it
feel like he
wasn't,
definitely tried
but
to
it
trick
worked.
you like that because they did have that one girl who like killed her abusive father. So it was like, oh, is the movie gonna go off the rails now? But
Yeah.
then it kind of doesn't. But
Yeah, but for me, the biggest thing I liked is that it tackles like the problems with Hollywood in this movie, like the corrupt producers who like meddle with the director's film, like the abuse and bad treatment of women and like sexualization and misogynistic stuff. Even tackles like grief and obsession with like a commentary on like people obsessing over movies nowadays. And so it's just the ideas that it reminded me a lot of like David Lynch's like Mulholland Drive, when like all which is basically all about the casting couch and like the seedy underbelly of movies. So this
yeah, I
goes
mean,
into
I
that,
agree
but-
with you though. But since it's a Sion Sono movie, it's so hard for me to take it seriously because I know he like purposely has everyone like overacting. Like everyone's always so it's hard for me to take like a lot of the themes seriously just because it's like so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's a very absurd. That's another thing too. And even though it tackles these big ideas, I thought it was worked best as a comedy. Still, it's very
Yeah.
absurd. Like,
Yeah,
and
well, especially like that love group that you liked.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's just, I mean, the comedy doesn't work for everyone, but I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this, and it's so hard for movies. Like, even like looking back at last week when we talked about I Care a Lot, it's so hard to balance those serious themes with actual
Yeah.
like comedy and absurdity. And he goes all over the place with this, but it works. And I just like the idea of focusing on different characters and not having a protagonist. And then
Well, so one thing that I really liked was just like a random thing is how every person going to the audition, they were doing road construction in front of it, so they had to like find a way past the road construction, and that was like a main obstacle that every actor trying out for the role had to was get by this road construction.
yeah, that was silly. And then
So yeah,
and
I
wasn't- they
liked the
gave her, like, that-
randomness like that.
Yeah, then like the one like construction worker had that like stupid necklace or whatever, and that they gave
Oh,
to
yeah,
the one girl's
yeah.
parents. I think those were my two favorites, the girl's parents, because they were just so negative. Like, you're never gonna make it as an actress.
Oh
Why
yeah,
you
they
even
were
try?"
so weird. Yeah.
And then they ended up just going into it, become like actors too, just to go with her to support. I think that was my favorite little plot line actually, because that one like the stepdad was so like creepy and weird. But then at the end too, when they're like running and it kind of blurs, like it looks like it's like a documentary, and like the cops come and like pull them off the streets of Shibuya Crossing. Mm-hmm. I thought that those were real cops, but it wasn't. Those were actor cops.
Actors
they said.
also. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what I liked about this movie, I didn't like it as much as like Why Don't You Play in Hell, but I could tell when watching it that Sion Sono just loves movies. And, like,
Yeah,
I got those
yeah.
same, like especially at like the whole last scene, there was a lot of running around and screaming and actors just going crazy. I did get those like same warm feelings of like, wow, he truly loves movies. Like he made an entire movie
Yeah.
just to focus
Well,
on
I mean, that's we were
extras.
joking about it, how all of his
Yeah.
movies are about making movies
Yeah.
now. Like, Forest of Love and Why Don't You Play in Hell and this one are all kind of about making movies. And,
Yeah, so you have to love movies and you have to kind of know him as a director to really like this, I think. And even like you still didn't really enjoy it, but I don't know. I very rarely get those like kind of warm, happy feelings, but it's like he just feels like a true filmmaker, and he really put his heart into this and all the hearts of the
Yeah.
actors. And then in hindsight, looking back, oh, they were all aspiring actors trying to make it, and like the fact that they imagine taking like a film workshop class, and then like Sion Sono just comes in, and he's like, oh. All right, this workshop is great, but let's make a movie together. And then he said one of the big differences why he enjoyed making this is because typically he's paying actors to be in his movies, but this time it was all the actors were paying to be in his movie because it was a workshop. So he said he actually made way more of an effort to coach and teach these people and help them
That's
grow
cool.
and develop. So
That's cool. I mean, I felt like it's always hard to judge with like Japanese films, especially his films, because they do overact, but it just kind of fits because I just kind of imagine that's just like the world that he lives in. So I feel like it works, and there were scenes where they were really good at acting, like in a lot of the auditions. The one like the first girl who was in like the theater group where they all like had the tattoos on their shoulders. She did a good job acting when she did the audition. You could tell like she was nervous and uncomfortable. So I'm not saying it was bad acting. That's just his style.
yeah, well, that was so interesting because it's like the movie feels like it's like a living thing. It's like they do that same scene over and over
Yeah.
again, and that one, like when she doesn't remember any of her lines, so like they have to feed her the line every time. I think that's like the first or second time they do that scene in the movie for the audition, and then you go through and then you see it like 2 or 3, 4 more times in the audition. And you see the ones that are really good performances, or the crazy girl who just beats up the director and stuff.
And then they want her to be in it.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, they have like the professional, like famous people doing it. And it's just like, oh, all of it comes together. But it's like, it really shows the heart of what a good actor can do. So I feel like it's just, I don't know. I just felt like that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling. Oh, if you were an actor, like this is what it means to be an actor. And like talks about the wearing different masks, and there's themes about it. So yeah, maybe narratively it doesn't work, and it's definitely not for most movie watchers. But I think if you appreciate filmmaking and if you're even an actor, I think you would get a lot out of this, just watching the performances, knowing that going in. But
that's my big thing, is that there was just too much going on. So like, yeah, most of it came together at the end, but then there was a lot of stuff that like it just got dropped and it just went away forever. And I don't know. Just most of it didn't work for me, and I just got so annoyed at them yelling.
Yeah, I agree. I think like one of the plot lines that really didn't work was like the one girl whose mom died in the hospital, and then she kind of comes back and like she doesn't really do anything. Like she was carrying like that plastic gun and like that weird like plastic mask thing, but that I didn't really care for at all. And then even like the girls in the like the first girl from the very very intro, like the first one who was wearing like the crop tops and stuff.
Yeah, like the cafe.
She didn't really do anything. And then
even like the group of like 5 girls who did like the theater play, or I don't know what it's called, but they were like the first like 40 minutes of the movie, and then they didn't do anything either.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Not all of it worked, but like the one that I thought really worked really well was like the one girl who was like the first time being an extra. And then she goes and meets like the old men who like are obsessed with getting as much film time. And then she said,
that part I thought was so funny. Just like when they were timing how long he was an extra in each scene, and then they just showed him like overacting and like trying to hog the camera as much as possible. It's like I couldn't believe that they would keep hiring him for like however hundreds of movies he was in.
Yeah, like that was really good. And then like the one girl too who was like wanted everyone to hear her song. She had some like, why isn't anyone hearing me? I just want to hear my song. And then at the end, she's finally playing the like guitar and she's like singing for all the extras on the film set. And the song they're singing is they're just saying like extra over and over again in Japanese. And I thought that was hilarious.
I really liked it too at the end when they were filming, and then all the extras were just like being like yelled at, and like, oh, you're hogging the camera, like you can't kiss in the background. Then they were like had to like pretend to like buy flowers and stuff. I like that stuff because I know that's kind of how it is, where like they're instructed just to like move their mouth and be like rabble rabble rabble.
Yeah, or the one extra who was like just hitting on every extra who like walked by, and then the guy would come in and do his ruse, or like, hey, you can't hit on this girl, come on, leave her alone. They just would do that over and over.
And they didn't even have names; they were just like extra A, extra B, and extra C.
Yes, I think that's what I liked. Like, yeah, it could have came together a lot more neatly and better narratively for sure. But I think there's some parts that worked really well, some of the humor, and there was enough of it for me that I enjoyed and found entertaining. Mm-hmm. Some of it wasn't great, sure, and like, yeah, it could have came together a lot better. But I mean, I hadn't really seen a movie like this before, so I enjoyed it.
I mean, it'll definitely be one that I'm gonna remember just because it's so far out there, and I always like movies that are something new.
Yeah, just the meta level and all the different like themes and ideas that he is able to explore in it with like how he makes his movies. Like, yeah, I feel like he intentionally made it really long and kind of intentionally breaks typical filmmaking rules, and like, especially in his other movies where they just drop plots and like throw in new random things to focus on for hours. That's kind of his style, which can be frustrating, which it is at times, but I think that allows him to make crazy movies like this, to just go wherever he wants and pick a character. Oh, I like this character. Oh, let's go. And it really makes it feel like it's stream of conscious, which I enjoyed, which I feel like, even though it feels like it's a chaotic mess, I feel like trying to make a movie like this, like if filmmakers set out to do it, it'd be very, very hard. Like making something like this and doing it even halfway as good as Sion Sono does.
Dude, so what was your thought on the director's girlfriend being a ghost? I felt like that was so random.
It was kind of random. I thought it was funny. I think it was him trying to draw parallels and foreshadowing that he was going to pick the one girl whose husband died. Because remember, he died, and then it showed...
I guess that makes sense. And they ran into each other at the convenience store.
Yeah, and then like she was peeking out, like the husband was peeking out in the closet when they first introduced the one actress girl. So that was funny. Then at first I was.
But the ghost girl, didn't she bring the famous actress into the bathroom and like intimidate them? So.
Yeah, it's another one of those things. It's just blurring the lines between what's a movie, what's fake, what's real, what's a ghost. It's like, yeah, we know she's a ghost, but also this is a movie. And like even the intro scene, which like had the actor like saying, "Oh, like it starts with like the actual film crew saying, all right, let's start the film." So it's just another one of those weird things where like I feel like it's like if we were making a movie for fun with like our friends, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's supposed to be a ghost, but then it's like behind the scenes, so it's just kind of not. Yeah, it's like
some inside joke, like a Bill Murray movie or something.
Yeah, but it was really confusing though, because when he commented at first, like when Kobayashi goes to the other movie's director set to like watch it for something, and then the ghost girl is there with him. He says something like, "Oh, my girlfriend's like been dead a year now. Oh, so sad." And they're like, "Oh, don't be so gloomy." I'm like, "Wait, but this is your girlfriend, right?" I'm like, okay, so she must be a ghost, because then like no one's really talking to her at all. So I was assuming she was a ghost at that point, but then when she bullied the people in the back,
exactly.
But then I think that was kind of representing like the director like having a mental breakdown, because I think he was seeing it, and that's what he wanted to do, but he was like too scared and didn't want to stand up to the producers. Cause that's why she kept saying he was such a weak director and always running. Then he ends up running away anyway, but comes back. So.
He comes back and then yells some more.
Yeah, I think she just represented like the true director in him, like the true being honest to what.
I guess so, because she was the one who was picking the cast, and she was the one who like finished the script. So I guess that makes sense. But it was just a weird metaphor. It felt kind of out of place with the rest of the movie.
It did. It was out of. I was hoping they were gonna like have that ghost girl fall in love with the ghost of like the main actress. I thought they were gonna bring him back in it, but they didn't. I thought that was gonna be silly. But yeah, there's just so much going on, and not all the performances were great, and there's a lot of screaming, which is
that's what bothered me, especially at the end when I was kind of burnt out at the 2.5 hour mark.
Yeah, his movies are long. I mean, I don't know. I liked like Why Don't You Play in Hell? I enjoyed more. Cold Fish I liked a lot more. Strange Circus I liked, and Love Exposure I think is still my favorite of his, and that one's like 4 hours long.
That one's like really long.
Super long. Yeah, those would be better ones, but I think this one's still worth watching if you like.
But comparing it to Love Exposure 2, Love Exposure didn't feel nearly as long as this one, even though it's got another hour of runtime.
Well, even though it's a Sion Sono movie, that one follows much more of a typical structure, a narrative story with like a beginning, middle act, and then climax. And
I feel like he's getting into his late career, so he's just going to go off the rails even more. I feel like they're less and less structure as they go on.
Well, in 2019, he had a heart attack, and so I think Forest of Love was his first release after he got out of the hospital. This was his second, and then that delayed his new one that he was working on with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage one. So I think that one would have been out by now too, but I think he's doing some other stuff.
I hope he's okay, because I want him to keep making more movies. And he's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, well, he had to stop for a while, but now he's back in full swing with these, I think. So.
Oh yeah, and then that other one too, that The Bastard and the Beauty and the Bastard or something like that.
Oh yeah, I need to watch that one still.
That just came out.
He makes a ton of stuff. It's hard to keep up with all of it.
Yeah, I feel like with Japanese directors, they reach a certain point where they're just making like 2 movies a year.
Yeah, I don't know how he pumps them out. I feel like his whole like life is like movies. Like you can tell, like he like lives and eats, sleeps, and breathes movies.
Ah, the dream.
I know.
I don't have to be a corporate slave like us.
It's okay. Well, one day we'll make a movie. however small of a budget it is.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up with so many ideas. I mean, we gotta get Mike Myers on board, and then we'll have unlimited potential.
We gotta pitch that Shrek 5 idea to Mike Myers, and that'll be our end. Any day now. you're listening, Mike, come on.
Mike,
Send
if
us
you're
some
one of
money.
our 30 listeners,
30 listeners and 10 subscribers. Come on. But yeah, definitely could have been edited down a little bit more, but looking back at it, I mean, he just wanted to give all of his actors a chance to shine that were in his work.
yeah, I do appreciate it, and that does make me like it a little bit more, and it kind of explains the lack of structure better. But I mean, yeah, that would be a really fun project to be on.
Yeah. I mean, if you're expecting like a big explosion of violence and gore and some crazy typical like Sion Sono stuff, and that's not this one, but it's still his style. But yeah, and to your point, it's hard to digest, but the ideas and the heart of the film are there, which I like, which I almost feel is more important. But to your point, you got to have it work from a viewer perspective on that first entry level as a story point of view to really want to dive deeper. A lot of people will just watch the first like 5 minutes of this and be like, what the hell is this? I'm not going to watch it. A, because it has subtitles, and B, because it's just kind of an out there movie.
Well, yeah, I thought it was so funny that like every time new characters were introduced, they had like a title card with all of like the characters' names on it, but there's like dozens of characters. There's no way you're gonna remember any of their names.
Yeah, one of the reviews of this when I was reading it afterwards, so they commented something like, "Oh yeah, like with the first few names that come up, like, oh, this is a lot of characters. Like, which one's which?" And then like another 5 or 10 minutes go by. Oh, there's another 4 characters. Like, it's almost like he's mocking the viewers with like, "There's no way you're gonna be able to keep up with this." It's like just like an
and they don't
inside
even
joke
they
for
don't
him.
even tell you which one's which for most of them either.
Oh, I do feel like I mean, he has to be self-aware enough of this stuff when he's making the movies to just like not care. Like he has to know no one's going to be falling except for maybe the people who worked on the film crew at a minimum. So he's kind of just like laughing and just puts it into the absurd, adds to the silliness and the fun and lightheartedness of the movie. Which I think is why he's able to kind of do like not this one per se, but some of his other films. Like I think that's why he's able to go so into like the weird and the grotesque and like disturbing concepts and stuff. It's because of his kind of out there filmmaking and style. It's like you still know it's a movie, so it's easier to take in the really disturbing, hard to.
Well, yeah, that's why I liked Forest of Love so much, because like it's a very dark and fucked up movie, but it's so like dramatic and exaggerated. It's not like that disturbing because you know it's like not reality.
Yeah. See that one for me, I had the same feel, which is weird. Like because you said this one felt way too long and was meandering. I feel like that movie should have ended like 3 times, and I didn't really care for the plot as much. Like when they went into the house and like were dressing up as like punk people with like the girl's parents. Like I feel like the first half of the movie worked really well, but then just kept going and going. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean that one was also almost 3 hours, I think, too. So yeah,
but that one has the violence and gore and stuff in it, which is good.
Yeah, I mean a lot of bodies got chopped up in that one. So what do you think of the title, The Red Post on Escher Street? I feel like there were a lot of red posts on Escher Street, and they're all different.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's why I think I enjoyed this movie more than you, because from that I was like, why is it called this right from the start? And for me, I looked at it at the same lens like when I'm watching a David Lynch movie, because it's all with ideas. A lot of the characters don't necessarily represent characters; they represent like thoughts or ideas or themes. So for me, the red post represents like the hope and obsession, or the dream of becoming a famous actor or becoming
because like red for like passion and like
and just in the context of the movie, that's where all of them were submitting their audition letters. So that's like their hope. That's what they want to be. So the red post represents that kind of drive to make it in the movie industry. So I think that's what the movie's about. It's like, oh, aspiring for greatness. It's like, and then at the end when they're running around screaming in the streets of Shibuya, they're like, "Wow, everyone wake up! Are you okay with just being an extra? Like you have to fight for it. Take your leading role." And it's kind of like blurring the lines, like, oh, not only taking a leading role in the movie, but take a leading role in your life. Don't just be a background character.
I'm gonna take a leading role at Cisco.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still the point. It's like every character in this movie is an extra to someone else's life. It's like even the main characters in this movie are extras compared to like, I don't know, the director who's the focus. So there's all these different.
Yeah, that's definitely the strongest point, is the final scene where that message kind of all comes together.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, why Forest of Love, it didn't come together as great.
That movie did not come together at all.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like this one. Maybe it was just more chaotic and crazy, but the ending tied it together well enough for me where everything worked, and it felt like it was building to something, and then it had that kind of release at the end. So it was satisfying for me. Like, not his movies aren't always that satisfying of an ending. Or like Tokyo Vampire Hotel. I don't even remember how that one ended because there was just so much crazy shit. Like some big gate to hell or some door, end of the world stuff. I don't even know. But I mean, I enjoyed it.
Oh, I love Tokyo Vampire Hotel. Everyone should watch Tokyo Vampire Hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's really good. That and the other Amazon Prime show, the Nicholas Winding Refn one, Too Old to Die Young. I think everyone needs to watch those shows to see what like the medium of a TV show can be taken to the extremes. Like,
well, I think Too Old to Die Young, they need to watch the first 4 episodes, and then after that, they can decide if they want to keep watching or not.
Well, that's what I love about Nicholas Winding Refn and Sion Sono is that they don't care about like typical like cuts and edits. Like they just let shit run. Like especially in those 2 shows, like they just explore every element of what they want to explore. Like there's just long like slow pans, like 10-minute pans of like nothing happening in Nicholas Winding and Too Old to Die Young. So like I just feel like watching that just, I don't know, it's great and terrible and awesome at the same time. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's an experience, I would say that.
Yeah, I mean it's not for everyone, that's for sure, but it's just interesting to see directors doing stuff and like, wow, these guys are actually able to get like Amazon movie show deals. That's kind of
probably
crazy.
Not. They're not going to get a second one. But...
No, they're never getting that's one thing I can say for sure. We're never going to get a season 2 of Too Old to Die Young. Next, we're going to talk about Monster Hunter, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, not to be confused with Paul Thomas Anderson. Different director.
I was confused because on IMDb it just says W.S. Anderson, and I thought it was Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know what are these 3 brothers. It's Paul and Paul and Wes. So one Paul wasn't enough. Like, this is a great son. We're gonna make a second son and also name him Paul. Maybe they're twins, Paul and Paul. And then Wes Anderson was kind of the weird rejected one. That's why he makes all the hipster movies.
The talented one.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie is starring Milla Jovovich, Tony Jaa, and classic Playhouse favorite Ron Perlman. So this Paul W.S. and not Paul Wes Anderson, W.S. Anderson, known for the Resident Evil series, also starring Milla Jovovich, and my personal favorite, Event Horizon.
And a bunch of other garbage movies, like the Jason Statham Death Race movie and the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes. Yeah, I gained a little bit more respect for this director after realizing he directed Event Horizon, but not much.
Well, so I learned after watching this movie that Milla Jovovich is his wife, and that's why she's in all of his movies.
I mean, I don't remember her being particularly bad at all in Resident Evil. I think she was good in those roles. In this one, I did not really enjoy her acting, but you don't really need good actors for this movie.
Okay, yeah. Before we get into it, so what was your first impression, general likes and dislikes?
It was fine. It wasn't a great movie, but it had some pretty cool action sequences. So as a straight action movie, it was okay. I enjoyed it better than most action scenes in like superhero movies, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt. I went in with super low expectations, especially after how bad most of the Resident Evil movies got. But this movie was actually decent, I would say. So it was a pleasant surprise based off of my expectations. There were some cool action scenes. The world was like fine, and I thought the special effects were better than they were at the end of Wonder Woman. So. Oh
yeah, it was leaps and bounds better from the end of Wonder Woman, where she fights that cat thing.
Yeah.
Was it Christian Wiig cat? Yeah. Christian Wiig from Cats crossover Broadway play movie adaptation fights Wonder Woman.
So for this one, I kind of want to go in chronological order because I feel like this movie is kind of like 3 movies: one with the military, one in the desert, and one in the jungle. So Let's just try to go through those real quick. So the army and bugs at the beginning. What did you think about that?
So before they get teleported to the world when they're just driving in their Jeep, I think that was probably the weakest part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
The acting was unbelievably terrible. The dialogue, I thought it was like supposed to be a satire of like military. It was so bad, but I don't think this movie's clever enough to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Like I got But I did get really strong vibes from like Starship Troopers. Like that whole sequence reminded me a lot of the first Starship Troopers, but less funny and less obviously satire.
Well, I couldn't tell because I felt like it was taking itself so serious. Like I was laughing before the movie even started because like in the opening credits when it was showing like the different like production studios, it was playing like monster growling noises, and I thought that was funny. And then it starts with like this military stuff that's like also super serious, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be the worst movie ever.
I feel like they just didn't really care. I feel like he's like Paul Anderson. He just wanted to make like action sequences. He's like, okay, there has to be the battles with the bugs, there has to be battles with the Diablo, and there has to be a big battle with the dragon, and like that's all he cared about. And then like how you get there, the dialogue, the characters. He didn't really care. It's all just like
I definitely
just bare minimum to get to those main action.
The dialogue was definitely written in like 5 minutes. Like the first thing that came to his mind was that's going in the script for that dialogue.
Yeah, but it was okay because as the movie progresses, there's less and less dialogue because there's a language barrier.
Exactly. Yeah, that was definitely the worst part. And that's why I was so worried. I think I texted you. I was like, oh my god, this movie is taking itself so serious for like a terrible video game movie starring Milla Jovovich.
Yeah, but yeah, what did you think of like the bugs though? So after they get teleported, besides the terrible acting with the military people, once they get teleported, which was a very cool teleportation scene. Normally, I don't like the full CGI stuff, but I don't know. I really like the sound design, like the weird effects and like the
I thought it was
like
pretty good.
Dubstep noises and them spinning around. It was pretty cool. It was very visually interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed it once I got teleported. It was basically like a horror movie where the people are just getting killed like immediately, and I was like, damn, that's like pretty violent. And then some of the scenes were pretty cool when they were like running through the caves, and then after she got like put in the cocoon, and then was it T.I. was there? And
I think so.
He pulls up his shirt and there's like egg sacs coming out of his wound, and the bugs are crawling. It's like the mummy with Brendan Fraser.
That was just straight up horror at that point. They were just getting slaughtered. Like I was like, wow, this got very serious, which I think is why it was trying to be kind of serious at the beginning and just didn't do it well. But then the rest of the movie is kind of silly with like the back and forth. It's like they don't really care that there's super violent bugs there. I don't know.
Yeah, it becomes pretty lighthearted after that, I thought. But I mean, that scene I thought it was pretty good when everyone was just getting killed. And they spent enough time with the characters where like you didn't think they were going to die like that fast. But man, they got massacred.
Yeah, they got slaughtered so quickly. So yeah, I enjoyed that probably the most of the movie because it was just basically horror. It was very good. But yeah, the movie felt like it was just so many different movies in one. Like there was so many different things.
So moving on. Now they're in the desert, and it's only Milla and Tony Jaa. What do you think about that?
I like the chocolate part. And she gave him chocolate to earn his trust.
I feel like they were like, oh, we can't have no dialogue, and like, okay, we'll make a joke. Yeah. And that'll be the only dialogue for like the whole second act of this movie.
I thought that part was hilarious because they just started fighting immediately. Like they were just fighting, and it was like a pretty ridiculous fight too.
It was actually pretty well choreographed because I know like Tony Jaa, he used to make a lot of good martial arts movies, so I feel like the fighting when it was the two of them was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was very well choreographed, and it was like not necessarily believable action, but it was still just like pretty funny, just like constantly hitting each other a billion times, and like her foot was all messed up, but she was still fighting. And it was good. And then like
so I've never played any of the Monster Hunter video games, but I am aware of them, and I know like they do like fly around and like shoot fire and like energy off of their swords. So I was expecting it to be really, really ridiculous, but then it was kind of funny that like this spin is that they're from the real world, but they still can fly around and do shit. Yeah.
I didn't play the games either, so I have no idea what it's like. I'm assuming you from the movie that it's like, oh, you go around on like this desert boat thing and then fight monsters and then have like magical fire swords.
So I spoke to our video game expert Zuri, and he gave me a quick rundown of the lore, but it's basically you're like this shit person, and then you kill weak monsters, and then you get drops from them so you can build better weapons and armor and like potions and shit to make yourself stronger, so then you can go and fight the next monster. And then after that you get its parts and then build better weapons to fight the next big monster. So that's basically what this, where it starts with the bugs, then the Diablos, and then the dragon.
Yeah, they didn't incorporate I mean, I guess they kind of did because they had like weapons that were made from monsters. So that was kind of, now that makes
they kind of did it
sense.
with the bug at the beginning of that. Yeah, that was about it.
But all the swords that Tony Jaa was using, those were like made out of monster parts. I
Yeah,
think they had like teeth.
yeah, I
and
think so
things on
too.
it. And then they
But I
they
mean,
used
I
the
honestly don't
poison.
understand why everyone doesn't use the bow and arrow with bombs on it. That seemed a billion times better than everything
Because
else.
they only found one. There's only one loot box.
only
with the-
only one loot box had that in it.
yeah, they didn't find enough loot boxes yet. Tony Jaa was just the quickest to grab it.
Yeah.
He was the hunter. Yeah, he didn't have a name. He was just Hunter in the movie, right?
Oh, is he?
was like
Yeah,
a
I don't
hunter.
remember. I don't remember any other names.
Milla Jovovich, she was like Artemis. And then, yeah, Tony Jaa was Hunter. Then Ron Perlman was just the Admiral.
So, I think the middle part was probably the most boring part of the movie. I mean, it was kind of cool watching them fight, but I didn't really care about like the training montage, and then like their plan was pretty dumb to like beat the monster.
Yeah, it worked. In fact, I couldn't even like watching them like getting tossed around when they got hit by the monster and like fly like 30 feet and like slam into like the side of the rocks in the Jeep.
Yeah, they're okay though.
Yeah, I kind of felt like they didn't develop like. I mean, Milla Jovovich's character, Artemis, her backstory was like pretty much non-existent. I guess
She's just an army person, and that's her whole character.
And then Tony Jaa, I mean, I guess he had a family too because he had those little prayer statues, but didn't really develop that either. There's very little plot. It's like minimal effort to literally just. Get
I'd say the plot is equally as strong as Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, but it wasn't trying to go for like he didn't really. It was enough to kind of care about the characters, and it was very lighthearted. Not a very serious action movie. It just wanted to make cool sequences.
So then they go to the jungle, which was probably another. I liked the jungle part just because Ron Perlman comes back, and he probably has the coolest like intro ever, where there's the stampede, and then he just jumps down with his fire axe and spooks them all out so they don't stampede over that Mila's character.
Yeah, that was great. I was waiting for so long. Like, when is he gonna come back?
Yeah, I thought he was dead. I thought it was just gonna be like a cameo at the beginning of the movie.
But then he came back into it, and so that was a great intro. Then I don't know, those are weird little like grappling hook things. I wonder if those are in the video game too. When Tony Jaa fell off the cliff. And
then, I don't know. I know like you can jump really high in it, but I don't know in the games. I don't know if it's like a grappling hook or not. But I've seen videos where people like jump and like spin and then like hit a dinosaur with their sword like 10 times. So.
Yeah, I was really hoping though after Ron Perlman made his appearance with his cool fire sword that him and Artemis were going to have another battle like Tony Jaa and at the beginning. So it was going to be another really ridiculous fight before they came friends. But instead,
she would just lose though. She can't beat Ron Perlman.
I know, but it just would have been funny. Just like maybe they fought for like 10 minutes and then Tony Jaa comes and helps. But it was still good. And then they introduced the cool cat, the kung fu cat person.
the cook.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a good scene too. And they introduced the cat, and then Ron Perlman gets his
milk,
his mug, his milk, and then the milk has the fur ball in it, and he just kind of pulls it out. So there were so many weird like little comedy jokes in it.
I kind of liked it though. I felt like it worked. Like when I was telling you about this movie after I watched it, I felt like it was a good superhero movie where like instead of having a confusing plot, it just had no plot. And then I feel like the action scenes in general were better than a lot of the action scenes from superhero movies.
Yeah, well, this movie, it felt like they made the movie like around the action scene. So that was like the big, like, instead of like trying to be like universe building like so many do, or trying to have character arcs or introduce characters or tied into the other 10 Marvel movies. This one's like, okay, let's just make monster battle sequences as awesome as we can. And that's going to be our goal with this movie. Yeah. There's a little bit of universe building. There's enough backstory, but not enough to like where it gets convoluted. So it worked much better.
Well, it's just so simple. It's just like the characters want to survive, and she wants to go back to like her world instead of like all these pointless arcs where like Wonder Woman's in love, and then Kristen Wiig is a nice person, but then she's not a nice person, and then the other guy loves his son, but then he also needs to make all these wishes. It's just.
Yeah, it's like
super
they're trying
straightforward.
Yeah, it's like with like Wonder Woman especially, and a lot of the superhero movies, it's almost like they're trying to write like all these characters and ideas and as much as possible into one movie. So then when they make a sequel, they can go in a billion different directions and figure out what works best later.
Yeah.
So they'd have as many, and it's almost like a writing exercise, I feel like, at this point with them. They're like, okay, this guy's a new writer. Let's let him develop Kristen Wiig's character.
Now,
and
did you ever
let's see how it works out for them.
Did you ever do that exercise like in middle school where you write a story and then like you write for 10 minutes and then you hand the paper to the next person and then they write 10 minutes on your story? That's what I feel like Wonder Woman was.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of them, like, I get they're trying to do universe building. They want to, like, stay true to the comics and do all this backstory. But it's like, you're also, don't forget you're making a movie, like a standalone movie. Yeah. It needs to work on its own at some level. But yeah, I don't know. This one, it didn't try to do all that stuff. And it doesn't need to. Like, movies don't have to do that.
Yeah.
The only reason
I feel like the action was good. It went like the Fast and Furious route, except it just without the charisma, where they just wanted to have cool action scenes with monsters. Fast and Furious just wants to have cool action scene with cars, and that's what they did. And they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, same kind of like, was it the new Mad Max Fury Road? It's just a big like driving movie where they're just driving and fighting in cars in the desert the whole time.
Yeah, I would say that's like a good example, and then this one's kind of like a bad example.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bad example of an action movie just trying to do cool action sequences.
But I just always respect when like someone has like a goal and they just do that goal, even though like I don't like the first like Jurassic World remake. That one just wanted to make a big dumb dinosaur movie, so they made a big dumb dinosaur movie, and that's what they did. They didn't get to these stupid, messy plots like they did in the second Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, if you try to explain stuff, then it's going to be scrutinized. It's like, if you don't try to explain it, then the viewers aren't going to question it too much.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. There's just monsters here, and you need to kill them or they kill you. It's easy peasy.
It's like, I feel like with Marvel movies now, like the creators are so like focused on like, oh, if we make this happen, what if the fanboys get mad at us? What if we don't tie this in the right way? We really got to make sure we try to cover our asses with every angle people look at it.
Yeah.
So it's like they try over explaining.
Well, that's like a big
Disney
thing with like the live action remakes. A lot of the old movies where now they like are making changes to make it more progressive, but they do it like in the very wrong way, and it's just like super surface level and like PR fakeness.
Yeah, dude, I hate all that stuff. I don't like it when like I mean, I get like, yeah, you're making movies for viewers, so you want your audience to enjoy the movie, but like as an artist and a creator, you should just make the fucking movie you want to make.
Yeah.
Like don't be like, make an entire movie, release it, and then like, oh, I don't like how Sonic looks, and then everyone complains about it, so then they redo the whole Sonic character. Like, fuck it, if you wanted that character to be designed that way, but I mean, then sure, but they probably didn't because they're just lazy creators in the movie at that point. But like, just make the fucking movie. Like, you think Sion Sono gives a fuck about what people think of his movies? I think he just makes the movie because he loves making movies.
Yeah,
like, just make it.
But I mean, that's just what it sucks. Like, too many cooks in the kitchen with these Hollywood movies where there's just like 10 writers, 20 producers, and
and if you're trying to
all about that money.
And if we're trying to make mass appeal movies, you can't make not everyone's gonna love it. So don't even bother trying to appeal to everyone.
Don't read Reddit reviews.
Yeah. Anywho, back to Monster Hunter. So they meet Ron Perlman. What'd you think of the big dragon battle at the end?
I mean, it was fine. I kind of liked just like how simple it was, where they were just like, when he breathes its fire, that's when it's vulnerable. So you know, like what the objective is. It's not just like my first example thought was like the Jason Blum movies, like The Nun, and like they're like, oh, you have to do this to weaken its power. So sometimes it's like throwing people across like the room and slamming them against the walls, but other times it's like too weak to move something. And it's just like all these inconsistencies where I feel like this one, I just liked it. So simple, so straightforward. And that's what they're trying to do. It's just attack it when it breathes fire. Yeah,
like that's all you need. Just one simple line, and it's enough to like keep focused for their strategy for the entire action sequence. It's a pretty long battle, isn't it? Like I feel like it's like 15-20 minutes of them fighting the dragon.
And I really liked it when the dragon fucked up all the helicopters and stuff.
Yeah. And even like the first half, like it's very simple. I mean, it's basically a survival type movie, but it's just one idea. It's like, okay, they have to kill that Diablo thing. So it's kind of like Tremors. Like they can't touch the sand. So how are they going to defeat this monster? And it's just them trying to think of creative ways and something to do it. It's like really simple concepts that are interesting enough. Like even like the sunlight that kills the bugs. It's like, oh, so that's how you have to be very careful at night, but during the day you're safe. So it's just little things like that. It's like, oh, surviving the night is now the device to push you through the scene. So there's a lot of little things like that aren't that don't need a lot of explanation, but surface enough to pull you through it in an
Yeah, exactly.
way.
It's enough to like set up the stakes. It's enough to like have the viewers understand what's going on in the world, and then they just fill it in with big dumb action scenes.
Yeah, and that's and also what was good about the setup is because all of the military people get slaughtered so quickly. So there's a lot at stake. Like, you don't know who's going to die. They can kill anyone pretty quickly.
I was not expecting T.I. to die so fast.
Yeah, like everyone got slaughtered. So that, just having that as the beginning, that really sets the stage. Like, oh shit, these are some dangerous monsters. They can anyone can die anytime. So there's actual tension, which in most Marvel and superhero movies, you don't really get that. You kind of know what's going to happen for the most part. No one's probably going to die.
You know that the bad guy's not going to destroy the planet with his big blue laser that shoots up into the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like they're going to keep trying to destroy the world, but they're either going to keep failing or keep succeeding, and someone else is going to come along. It's just like the same story over and over again.
Yeah,
they can't resolve it completely ever, because then they won't be able to make another movie. So they all just kind of lose it's like diminishing returns on each one.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this movie had a $60 million budget, and it's only made $25 million worldwide opening weekend. So maybe it's because of COVID. Maybe it's not a great movie. I don't know. But
I mean, it's definitely not a great movie. It's good enough. It's fine for like a dumb action movie.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just one of those things where it's just like not the marketing, because I feel like this movie is significantly better than like the Jurassic World movies, which I hate, which make $1 billion literally. Yeah. But it doesn't have the stars and it doesn't have the name in it, and that just makes me sad.
Well, I think also, since it is a video game movie, like, no one really wants to watch video game movies. They have kind of a bad reputation for not being great.
Well, that was another thing when I was reading reviews. Everyone on Reddit was just complaining that it didn't follow the lore of the games, and they were complaining like, "Oh, the axe isn't the one that shoots fire. That's like a different sword," and like all these things like that. I thought was pretty funny.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like, I mean, yeah, people are always going to complain because there's always the diehard like, "Oh, stay true to the original source material." But like, even when The Shining came out, no one even liked that movie because when it first came out, because it didn't stay true to the Stephen King novel. So everyone got pissed, and it wasn't that well received. But it's a great movie still. But people get mad if it's like, oh, it's not what I know. It didn't happen exactly the way I wanted it to happen, so it must mean it's terrible. Boo, boo, boo. But I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, but then they think like a remake. Like, how many versions of A Star Is Born is there now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's at least like a good performances. So it's like
I mean, I'm just
So I mean, it's fine retelling the same story if they're doing it well and can bring something new to it. But I don't know what new elements they're bringing to the superhero movies at this point. But yeah, this was much better than like the Resident Evil movies, I think.
Well, I mean, I only watched the first 3, but the third one was so unbelievably bad, I quit. And it's one of those things I always want to go back and watch the rest of them, but I just continue my life.
Yeah, I can't imagine like after the third one being so bad. Was it Resident Evil Extinction? Was that the third one? I can't imagine 4 or 5, or if there's, I don't even know if there's 6 or 7 now, but I can't imagine them getting better as it goes on.
I know.
Even the first
only one way to find out.
Yeah. Is Resident Evil 8 going to come out? When's the next one going to be made? But yeah, I did think it was interesting that they did so many different things in it. Like, it was like kind of a war movie at the beginning, then it turned into just straight like sci-fi horror with the bug monsters. Then it went into like fantasy kind of with like Ron Perlman and their fire swords and stuff, and then with the dragon battle at the end, and then kind of back to military. So it was very very strange. Very strange.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like this is one of those movies where if you just want a dumb action movie, go and watch it. If you like Fast and Furious, this is kind of like a bad Fast and Furious movie. Yeah,
Fast and Furious, but with big bug monsters.
Yeah, and like not the stars.
Not the stars.
But I mean, I like Tony. We like all of them. I mean, Milla Jovovich, like, she found her like thing that she does, and she's just gonna keep doing that. I like Tony Jaa, and then Ron Perlman is always fun.
Mm-hmm. It's a very fun movie. I kind of wish they did explore the Dark Tower thing a little bit more. It feels like they're trying to set it up for another movie.
Yeah, because at the end. But
yeah, because they're like hinting at the Dark Tower the whole time. That was like what teleported them and all these different things happening. And then she kind of goes back, but not really. And then their worlds are like blurring together. So I felt almost it's like, okay, this first one was going to be her in the Monster Hunter world. And now I feel like they're setting up for the second one to be, okay, now the monsters are in the real world. So now she has to like save that normal world from the monsters. And then I was wondering, oh, is this going to be like a time travel thing? Like maybe the Monster Hunter world's the future and the monsters killed everyone or something in the normal world. And then in the second one, they're going to explore that idea a little bit more. But I have no idea. That's just
I have no idea. I just want more Ron Perlman. That's what I want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hopefully they make a sequel. Artemis and Milla Jovovich's character dies, and then Ron Perlman takes the star.
Him and the cat.
Yeah, him and the cat.
Well, I don't have much else to say about this. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward movie. Would you recommend this?
Yeah, if you like action movies, if you kind of want like a big Hollywood blockbuster action movie that's not terrible and not frustrating, this one's good. It's got better than average action scenes, I would say. And the special effects are good.
That's what I would say too. If you just want a dumb action movie, turn off your brain for an hour and a half. Turn this on and enjoy.
Check it out. If you like Monster Hunter, I don't know if you'll like this movie or not because I didn't play the game.
Me either.
Do you think Paul W.S. Anderson played the Monster Hunter game before making this movie?
I mean, apparently not, because he didn't get the weapons right. So for our next movie, we're going to be talking about Minari, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, produced by Steven Yeun and Brad Pitt.
Oh, yes. I forgot Brad Pitt was a producer.
Yeah. I just noticed that at the end, his name in the credits is the executive producer. It was him, Steven Yeun, and I think one other person who I hadn't heard of before. But
it would have been good if if Brad Pitt played that kind of white gardener guy. Yeah, the farmer guy who helped him. That would have been a good role.
I don't know. Actually, I think that it was a small scene, but like the one little boy has like the redneck friend, and then like his dad's there like all drunk and was out the whole night before. I feel like that'd be a good Brad Pitt cameo.
That would have been really good. Like if he played like kind of a similar character to his role in Snatch.
But so this is about Steven Yeun and his Korean family moving from LA to, I believe, Arkansas to start a farm. And it takes place, I believe, it's either the 70s or 80s. I don't think they ever explicitly say, but definitely that time period.
Yeah, an important plot note, though, he didn't necessarily tell his family or wife that he was trying to start a farm or buying
it's like a big garden, he kept saying.
Yeah, he kept saying a garden. It turns out he's actually just wanted to make a farm. Yeah, with his new best friend, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Paul was great. I thought he was going to, I thought something, really bad was going to happen. Like, the whole time I was waiting for something really sad and kind of, traumatic to happen in it. And there was some of it, but Paul ended up being a pretty solid dude in it. So
I thought he was going to, rip him off or something. But he was just, he's just a weird guy, but he was a hard worker.
Yeah, he was just wasn't he a war vet? He said he was in the Korean War. And, So he's just super religious now, probably because he had PTSD.
It was one of those weird branches where he had to self-punish and carry the cross down the street every Sunday.
That was kind of crazy, but also kind of funny. There was a lot of that in this movie. Kind of balanced some of the weird, more it was almost through the lens of a child. It was it's kind of a funny, absurd thing, but also kind of has a dark, definitely past behind it.
Yeah, because David, the little boy, is definitely the main character of this movie. Everything is kind of from his perspective.
Well, that's supposed to be what the director, was it Chung's character? It's a semi-autobiographical.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
So it's based off of his upbringing, because I think they did move to Arkansas with his family. It's not like all the characters are true characters, but yeah.
Does he still drink Mountain Dew all the time?
I don't know. I couldn't find anything more about the Mountain Dew. I hope so. Probably he has to at least like Mountain Dew if he put it in the movie so much.
I agree. That's how he and his grandma bonded. They just drink Mountain Dew and pee together.
They drink each other's pee to maximize the Mountain Dew flavor. You can recycle that dew. It actually passes through your body a couple of times. So
we know this. We're Mountain Dew experts. So
we'll have to do a whole review on Mountain Dew soon. Ooh, all movies that have Mountain Dew in them. That'd be an interesting one.
I've seen a good amount of Mountain Dew in movies. It pops up every once in a while.
This one was very noticeable, though.
Yeah, it has like a plot point because it really is kind of like how he first started talking to his grandma a little bit.
And then she drinks the pee because she thinks it's Mountain Dew because it
Yeah.
looks very similar in color.
Okay, so anyway, so what did you think of this movie? Overall, likes and dislikes.
I really liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good family movie. It was definitely sad at times, but not overly sad like a lot of other Korean movies are. Like Parasite is a little bit more darker material, or like Burning, another kind of popular.
Yeah, no, I was definitely expecting it to be a lot more depressing, especially the longer it went on. But it seemed to be kind of an uplifting ending.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was kind of more lighthearted than I expected. There's definitely kind of hard like struggle and things going on in the movie, but it was really told from the lens of the younger boy, which kind of made it have that childlike feel to it. Which
well, the whole dynamic between him and the grandma was just like great throughout the movie, where he says like she's not a real grandma, but then they get along, but then he gets mad at her. Says she's not a real grandma again. I really enjoyed watching. That was probably my favorite part of the movie, is watching the two of them interact.
Yeah, it was good. So the director, when he was making this movie, because he was actually on his way, I think he was a film teacher in Korea. So he was on his way out of the film industry. I think he made maybe one or two other things before this movie, but
he made a few other movies, but I hadn't even heard of any of the other ones.
Yeah, so he was kind of on his way out of movie making. But he decided he wanted to make a script, or at least write a script that was like close to home for him, like a movie about his life, because he felt like if he didn't do that, then he would be missing out. So he ended up he wrote down, I think he said like 80 memories from his life, and then just kind of found out that, there was actually an arc or a little bit of a story within his grandma. So that's kind of where he wanted to focus the movie. But yeah, it started out with just these kind of different ideas of his past from when they moved to Arkansas, which was a pretty hard time for his family.
Yeah.
And then that all came together. Then he really liked the idea of his grandma and the dynamic between them, and what his whole what he thought a grandma should be and shouldn't be. And then the kind of ties to, as he thought about it more and talked to his family more about it, it came together. But he was one interesting thing he mentioned was he didn't tell his family that he was making this movie. And so he shot all of it. I think they kind of guessed, but he said his parents were very private people, so he was a little bit nervous to release it, which is kind of
well, it's not like he was painting them into like that much of a negative light. Like I feel like that's kind of how things were based on like the time period, where it's kind of like the man of the house controls everything. But even though his parents like argued in the movie, like you could still tell they like cared for each other, and I don't think he like tried to like paint them in a negative light or anything.
Yeah, and even with that, he said they're not actually what his parents were like necessarily. It's just characters. Yeah. Obviously, it's more dramatic and it's more of a movie.
Well, and the focus was mostly on him and the grandma anyways. That was just kind of like the catalyst that got the movie going.
And then like he said, as he was making it with the grandma and stuff, because at the time when the grandma came, because in the movie too, it shows like he didn't really like the grandma because it didn't fit his idea of what a grandma should be.
Yeah, well, she was like a gangster.
But then in interviews, he talked a little bit more about it, because in real life, he didn't know his grandma that much because he was very young. But so his grandpa died in the Korean War when I think his grandma was like 20 or something. So his mom was just born and raised without a father. So she was a single mom in Korea raising his mom. So she was really, the war had a huge effect on how she was
well, kind of in the
up.
impression from the movie, kind of just seemed like the grandma lived in like extreme poverty. Like they kind of said like she couldn't read and things like that.
Yeah, so then when she ended up coming to help them out because the family was struggling in Arkansas, she sold, I think she had like a store or a house. She sold all of her belongings and came to live with them in Arkansas to help out. But so the kind of that contrast, he was expecting her to be like, the American version of a grandma, like, baking cookies and stuff. And that's not what she was. And then like his idea of what Korean tradition was and should be, it's like, it's very respectable, very honorable culture and stuff. And it said the grandma, she was like gambling and drinking and kind of vulgar and stuff, and not what he expected, which was the thing. But then he said, later, like the grandma coming there, since they ended up bonding and getting along, that kind of more non-traditional ideas and that kind of like breaking the rules mentality really saved him and helped him get through that time.
Definitely. I mean, that's how we were with our grandpa. He always told us to break all the rules, and that's how the grandma was in this, where like the parents are so protective over over David because of his heart condition, but the grandma was like, "Go outside, run. I don't give a shit."
Yeah, yeah. Our grandpa just smoking cigarettes, teaching us how to play poker, and
Yeah, he taught us to gamble too.
Yeah, taught me my first swear words. So it was great. But no, it was good. And I think that's why the movie works so well, is that people can connect to so many different parts of it. And the family, they relate to it, whether you're American or not. It's still kind of the American dream of the immigrants coming over. It's an immigrant story, really, about starting to farm, but everyone can relate to it.
Yeah, well, the family felt very real. Like, it didn't seem like Hollywood dramatization. It just felt like a real family with their real dynamics and real struggles.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the movie he wanted to make. He wanted to make something that was true to himself and kind of give his grandma a voice. Like, because his grandma came to America, she never learned English. She didn't really assimilate at all. She was just kind of this voiceless grandma that no one really heard. So he wanted to give her a voice and show how much he appreciated her. And I know he said when he showed it to his family for the first time, the mom really appreciated it. Kind of showing that side of the mom.
It was a really good movie too. Like, aside all of that stuff, it's just a good movie.
Yeah, well, it's entertaining. It's funny. It's got heart. It's kind of a family drama. It's well done too. So.
Yeah, I want to feel like the humor was used really well in this, where it wasn't like in your face, but it was kind of just like the different interactions between like the characters or other like side characters. Like, I just loved it when the little boy like broke the beating stick, so he had to go get another one. He just got like a piece of grass, and the grandma just thought that was like the funniest thing ever. And little things like that, I feel like they were like very like wholesome humor when they were sprinkled in.
Well, that's the kind of thing too. It's like, I think that they were struggling. The family was having a hard time. So you kind of, if you don't laugh at it and make those little jokes and kind of relax, you don't have that relief, then the struggle just gets worse. So it really serviced the plot and also made it more entertaining too.
And then, like, the little boy made the grandma drink the pee, and then, like, she didn't even care. She's like, "Oh, who cares? This is a little pee. No big deal."
Pee never hurt anyone. It's good for you, right?
Oh, man, that kid was so funny. So I looked it up, too, and he had no prior acting experience, and I feel like he really killed the role. Usually I don't like child actors.
Yeah, he did good. He was a believable little boy. Mm-hmm. I liked it, and I like his friend too. When he met like the white Arkansas kid.
Oh, yeah, because you thought he was gonna be like some racist redneck, but then they end up being like really good friends.
Yeah, well, another thing too. When I was reading about it, he said when he lived in Arkansas too, he did experience some racism and stuff, and there was a little bit of that in the movie. But he said like that wasn't really it. It was kind of more innocence. It's just how you connect with your kids. You know, you notice the things that are different. So they ended up becoming good friends, he said, whoever that character was supposed to represent.
The racism in this movie was mostly just like between the kids, where it is more just like from ignorance, and they probably have never seen another Asian person before. I don't think it was like ill intent, which I'm sure they encountered because they're in Arkansas. But I feel like the way that the movie was going, they didn't need to show that. I feel like they already were having enough struggles with their farm as is.
Yeah, and then he also commented on it a little bit more too. He said like, oh, like the racism was there, but it's an immigration story. So he said, I mean, his parents, or at least the characters or the parents in the movie, they also were making assumptions about American culture and being kind of judgmental, and were very proud Koreans about how we're going to go to a Korean farm and that kind of stuff, and making some stabs at the Americans too. So it's a process. It kind of goes both ways. You know, there are some stereotypes that people will have and things they'll say. So it's kind of, he said it's not always as simple as just blatantly racism.
Well, this movie, it wasn't about racism. It wasn't like Judas and the Black Messiah. But I feel like I'm just happy to see like more representation. I know like Steven Yeun is like really big on having more Asian representation, and I know this isn't like a Hollywood movie. It's A24, which is like one of the best production companies out here right now. But I'm always happy when like a movie like this gets popular and has a diverse cast and shows a little bit about the different cultures.
Yeah, well, I'm just so sick of just the mainstream Hollywood movies and stuff. Like any aspiring filmmaker, especially from other cultures, they can learn about different cultures, learn about new things, new experiences, and tell it through film, and kind of pick up like the filmmaking culture of whatever country the movie's being made is interesting. And if more people watch those movies, then we get more diverse and better movies. So
yeah, well, I mean, I could go on a whole episode about this, but like how Hollywood like is in such a position where they could like expose so many more people to different cultures and different races in like very positive ways, but they just choose not to because all the old men who control Hollywood are like 30 years behind every trend, where they still can't show like two men kissing in a movie or something because then it gets an R rating instead of a PG rating or dumb stuff like that, and it's still going on. It just makes me angry how much I hate Hollywood.
Yeah, well, luckily now there's more and more independent filmmakers coming up, and with this director, with Chung, he was gonna quit making movies after this. He was gonna write a script and go teach in Korea, but Hollywood ended up picking this up, and helping produce it, or American production company did. So he's like, oh, now he's gonna keep making movies. I think he mentioned that his next one, I think Bad Robot approached him after watching his movie at a festival, so they're going to try to do some sort of kind of more fun adventure movie next.
Well, I saw he's doing a live-action remake of Your Name, which I'm really excited for because I love the animated one.
Yeah, that animation is so good. God, I really wish that like Pixar or Disney would just get back into just hand-drawn, or not hand-drawn, but just like not CGI.
But the merch, they can't get the merch.
Yeah, but I mean, just normal cartoons, like 2D cartoons. I miss that stuff. It looks so nice.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's my big thing. I've never been a Star Wars fan, but the animated Star Wars is like 100 times better than any of the movies.
Yeah, I like some of the old Star Wars ones. The new ones I haven't. I heard Rogue One was really good, but I haven't watched.
Well, that one has Donnie Yen in it, so I mean, that'll make me a little bit happy. But
and was it Michael Hankson or whatever, the one European actor? I don't know.
I mean, Star Wars is basically just another Marvel vomit, corporate vomit.
No, Disney now is making the Star Wars, so it's going to be much better now. Disney's got its hands on it. They're going to take it.
That's like the past 9 movies. I don't even know. And what makes me mad with Star Wars too, they're not even creative enough to come up with like a new plot. It's still like the same Rebels versus Empire that the old ones from the 70s are for. It's like, come on, you got like 30 people writing these movies and none of them have like a fresh idea.
They probably don't let them have the fresh ideas. They're like, no, this is too different. This doesn't follow the normal plot points that our viewers are going to know and understand and expect.
Can you imagine a full-grown man loving Star Wars and he just comes home to his wife and son and is like, I just love Chewbacca. I just love Chewbacca. Hey, son, I just love Chewbacca.
Dude, when are they gonna bring back Jar Jar Binks? That's the real question about the Star Wars movies. Anyway, bringing it back to Minari though. Yeah, when I was watching, I was very stressed for parts of it because since the young boy had a heart problem, I was just waiting the whole time. I thought the kid was gonna die. Or something.
Like anytime he exercised, I'd be like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a depressing movie about like a family not only struggling to get by, but then also having a dead child on their hands."
Oh, I mean, you know, there's a common theme in Korean dramas. It's like that medical debt that you can never pay back. So I was like, "Oh no, if their farm doesn't fail, he's donezo."
Yeah. But then I was happy the boy's heart actually ended up being fine, and it was all good. And then I thought for sure the parents were going to get a divorce at a point, too.
Yeah, like she was going to move away. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, great. Just as the kid's okay, the mom's going to leave, and it's going to make the family even more torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was sad when the grandma had her stroke, though.
I know, she was so chill. She was just a cool grandma.
Mm-hmm. She was good, but that scene was very symbolic. It was kind of like the kid had his problem. He was like wetting the bed and stuff, and he had his heart issue. And then
and I really liked it too, where like it was very subtle, but like they talked about how like someone committed suicide in that house, and then when the grandma was recovering, she like saw like a ghost in that same corner, and then that's the corner where Paul came over and did like his little exorcism thing. I felt like that was very subtle but executed very well, and it really like fit the themes of the movie.
Yeah, and that was good too because it was kind of drawing the like, because the dad, he was a very like, what is it? He said use your mind all the time. He wasn't really big on religion or tradition necessarily, but it kind of shows like, oh, you know what? There is some good that can come from it in these situations, especially if like your wife or the grandma really believe in that stuff. It can be very therapeutical.
Well, then even at the end too, he was using the dowsing rod to find his well this time. Like...
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like that was like something that was executed very well, but it wasn't like in your face. It was just like a little side plot that was helped drive home the themes.
Yeah, exactly. And it was good. Even like kind of this more spiritual stuff. It's like, oh, as soon as the grandma had her stroke, it was almost she was like passing on her life or her health to the boy to help him heal and grow and continue to develop.
Definitely.
And then that also kind of just reinforces also the themes of the title of the movie, Minari, which they allude to. Oh, it can grow anywhere. It grows all over the place, no matter how bad the soil conditions are, which is kind of like the boy. So yeah, it was a tough upbringing, but he was able to grow and make something good out of it all.
And now he's making movies.
Now he's making movies. Yeah,
Just drinking Mountain Dew and making movies.
Dude, the dream, the ultimate dream is making movies while drinking Mountain Dew, but the movies are about Mountain Dew, so making Mountain Dew movies. Take it to the next level. Oh, that'd be, since we were talking about Sion Sono earlier. Imagine if he made like a Mountain Dew commercial, but it was like an hour-long movie commercial about Mountain Dew. I wonder where he could take it.
I feel like it'd be like Talladega Nights.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
That's another movie with Mountain Dew in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what do you think of the ending of the movie though, when they're with the grandma burning the garbage?
I mean, I was really stressed out when I was watching it, but I feel like hard work was like another one of the themes of the movies, and it seems like they were able to pick themselves back up. And I wish they had another scene with Paul after that, because he would just come over the next day and be like, "Oh, whatever, we can just do it again. It's no problem.
Easy come, easy go. What are you gonna do? I just want to grow my crops and carry my cross."
But I watched this with my fiance, and then like first they go to the doctor. And, like, the little boy's okay. Then he makes the sale at the Korean supermarket. So I was like, man, this is, like, the best day of their lives, I bet. But then they go home, the wife's mad, and their farm's burning down. I was like, oh, I take that back.
Yeah. It was good for a little bit. For, like, a couple scenes of the movie, they were happy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that probably my only complaint of the movie that I didn't enjoy as much was I felt like the daughter wasn't quite in it enough. She didn't really have that big of a role to play. Like, she was there, but she didn't really do a lot.
Yeah, I especially after the beginning, like when the parents were arguing, they're throwing the paper airplanes. I thought it'd be a lot more about like the brother sisterhood relationship. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like she could have done a little bit more. But it is what it is.
Yeah, he said after he showed his family the movie that the sister, her comment was, "Oh yeah, it was kind of nice watching this from such like a more positive light." Because she said growing up, she just blocked out most of their time living on the farm because it was pretty hard for them.
Yeah.
So she said watching this and remembering the good stuff in this lens was very cathartic for her and the family.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's how it is, like kids, because it seemed like she kind of had to take care of him because like they'd be at work all day, so she probably kind of had to watch over her like sick little brother while the parents were working.
Yeah, because obviously the younger brother, he's just younger, and if the older sister is watching him all the time, it's going to be harder on her than it is on him. But I think that's part of the reason why the grandma came over, is because both parents were working, mm-hmm. and like the daughter couldn't be watching him all the time, so they had to bring the grandma in too.
I just know I never want to be a chicken sexer.
Yeah, it doesn't look too fun. That would be very, very hard. Would you rather be a farmer or a chicken sexter?
I think I'd rather be a farmer. It's whatever. I mean, I don't think it'd be great, but at least you can eat the food while you work.
That wouldn't be too bad. So, of the Korean dramas you've seen, where would you rank this one? Some of the other big ones, like, I don't know, Parasite compared to that, or like Burning, or what other ones have you seen?
I mean, it's I probably like Parasite a little bit more, but that's just because I love like. That's like basically a horror movie.
Yeah.
But this one is still like one of of like recent times. It's like one of the best I can remember. I mean, there's a few of those like older gangster ones that are like some of my favorites. But as far as recent ones, I think this one is probably only number two, only to like Parasite. Yeah,
it is very good, and it's a much more kind of family-oriented film. I mean, Parasite's also a family movie, but this one's much more lighthearted. It's not as like tough to get through, so very accessible. And I think it definitely deserves all the praise that it's getting right now from people. So it's 100% worth watching. It's very good. I would have liked to have seen it in theaters, though, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, this would have been a fun one to see in theaters. Double feature this with Monster Hunter in the theaters. Good movie experience.
Mm-hmm. This one was definitely the best of the three movies we watched this week. Much better than Monster Hunter and Red Post.
I mean, this is probably one of the best that we've reviewed so far.
I mean, it's not better than Wonder Woman. Yeah. Yeah, this one was good. Judas and the Black Messiah was very good. Yeah. Pieces of a Woman were pretty good.
So this one too, I just want to say all the performances were really good. Steven Yeun, I always know that he's like around doing TV shows and stuff, but I've never really watched anything other than some Walking Dead. So it's good to see like he's like matured as an actor. The little boy was go ahead.
I was just gonna say, he was good in The Walking Dead. He was one of my favorite characters. But I don't know. I just after season 1 of The Walking Dead, because everyone loves that show, but it's another great example of a TV show that like
it's hard to judge because it's so bad. Yeah,
it already had ended. So so I kind of just leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I'm not a big Walking Dead fan. The second season was not great, and I kind of just I know everyone's like, oh, it's not about the zombies, it's about the characters and the drama, but God, those characters were not great. They're very unlikable. Anyway, anywho, but he did great in this, so hopefully he keeps making good movies. He was a good dad. He was a great dad.
Definitely. He looked like a dad too.
Yeah, great actor.
The little boy was great for first time acting. The grandma I thought was great. I feel like with the grandma too, she did a lot of little things where I feel like were kind of like the tropes, like even like the way like when they were gambling, like the way she was sitting was kind of like how gangsters are portrayed as sitting and things like that, which I really liked.
Well, she was good because she started off when she came in, she was kind of this like rambunctious, like energetic grandma doing all these things, breaking the norms. Then by the end of it, after she had her stroke, she she looked way older. Like she looked like she had a stroke. So that was good. I think she had the most acting experience of everyone. I think she's been in TV shows and things in Korea quite a bit and movies. So she's somewhat well known in Korea, if I remember my research.
Yeah, and properly. I looked up his wife. The actress is Yeri Han. She's been in a bunch of stuff, different K-dramas and some movies, but I hadn't watched any of them. I think she did a really good job. Too.
Yeah, another one of the things I remember reading about when they were talking about the movie was that the some of the characters, they would like play around with each other. So like the grandma, she wouldn't tell the family what's going to happen in the scene, or they'd purposely not tell the actors so they could capture their real reactions to things happening.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then they also, I don't know the details, but he said when they were filming the movie too, it was very tough because they had to film it on like in that farmland. I guess it was like kind of rainy and not the best location to be filming, not what they were expecting. So there was a lot of challenges with making it. They had to kind of rush through a lot of stuff, but they were able to get through it because he said they were all just, I think they were living together for like 6 or 8 weeks or something, filming it on that.
Yeah, well, I saw they filmed it like in Oklahoma in like the middle of nowhere. So I can't imagine like the living situations, like the hotels there are probably like the Motel 6 or something.
But it looked really good. I mean, the movie looked
definitely.
Great for
I mean,
locations.
I feel like A24 always does a good job.
Yeah, a lot of their movies are good. I think they've made a couple random low budget ones that weren't great, but for the most part, their big releases and stuff are on par. Very good. Very, very good. But yeah, all their performances were very good. No complaints. Well acted, well made. A great script that resonates with the hearts of a lot of families.
Yeah, definitely.
So would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this. If you want like a little bit more of a serious movie, I feel like this is one of the best like family dramas out there right now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for everyone. I think all family members will enjoy it of all ages. So.
Yeah, I feel like it works for like maybe not like little kids, but I mean the movie's basically told from like he's like 5 or 6 or so. I don't know exactly how old, but I feel like everyone has something to relate to in a movie like this, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah, I think the director said he even showed it to his daughter too, and said she thought it was funny, liked all the comedic parts, even if they don't get all the themes necessarily.
Yeah,
it's still enjoyable.
But I mean, it's just fun watching the little boy like run around with his like cowboy boots and stuff.
Yeah,
I just thought that was funny. Yeah.
But it's a good movie. I'm excited to see what he does next, and I hope he keeps making movies for a while.
Hopefully, he doesn't ruin your name. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully he goes all out with the visuals in that one, because I mean that one was just so beautifully animated.
Yeah, and I hope they keep the same music too, because I feel like the music is a huge part of that one. So we'll see how it is. I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. We can review it. All
right. Any other thoughts on Minari before we wrap things up?
I think if you're gonna watch one of these 3 movies, that's the one to watch.
Oh, absolutely! Check out Minari. It was great. Watch it, tell your friends, watch it with your family.
Watch it with your family, then come watch our review again with your family.
Yeah, round 2 to double take. I hear from our fans and viewers, if you watch our podcast a second time, it's much more enjoyable. You can really pick up on the subtleties of our conversations.
Yeah.
So.
And our mom says that you don't have to watch the movies, you just get to watch the handsome boys. So
yeah,
perfect.
Our mom loves the podcast. Okay, well, if you like our videos, please like and subscribe. Until next week. Bye-bye.